Tissue Regenix has reported preliminary results, and I'm joined now by CEO Antony Odell to talk through the numbers. So Antony, what are the highlights here for you?
Well, obviously very important was the launch of our first product in the States. That's a major achievement for a company our size. Obviously we've then progressed that with the Q code, getting Novitas approval recently, and today announcing the CGS approvals. We've obviously deployed a direct sales force, which is no mean undertaking, and we've moved forward in terms of the commercialisation of the product substantially. The clinical data has continued to be outstanding, and that's been, a significant part of our success in moving this forward. The orthopaedic portfolio has moved forward by entering clinical trial phase, which is preparatory to getting regulatory approvals in Europe. So all in all, it's been a hugely busy year on the product front, and on the corporate side, the board has been realigned to reflect our new commercial stance and the momentum behind the commercial process. And also our IP portfolio has had a number of significant additions. So we've been very busy.
Could you outline how the current performance demonstrates the business strategy?
Well, when we started TR, it was about taking a platform technology and what do we do with it? And we decided to focus on opportunities that we felt were the ones we could most immediately access, and obviously they have to be substantial commercial ones for investors to put money into the company. So we've launched obviously DermaPure on the back of the very good data we got from the UK clinical trial where we work with NHSBT, and we've deployed the product now. We've deployed a sales force. We've got progress on momentum on reimbursement, and that led to the signing of our commercial agreement. The distributor, which is looking at a $600,000 annual minimum for that particular contract, which only covers 11% of the Novitas area. So that gives you some idea of the potential we're chasing in terms of revenue in just that one category alone. On the orthopaedic side, it's an important milestone when you submit data to a regulatory body. That's basically data we've generated, and that's external experts looking at it and saying, is this good enough to put into a human being? And that's a pretty fundamental question. And they've looked at both our products, meniscus and tendon, and said, yep, that is good enough. So that's a good validation of the hard work the team's been doing back in Yorkshire as we've moved these products through the development cycle. So I think from a point of view of the business progress, we've shown we can develop things, we've shown we can get them approved, and we've shown we can launch them, and we've now shown that we can deploy them commercially. They're all important facets of how you build a business.
Turning now to the product suite, could you give us an update on how each area is performing, starting with wound care?
Well, wound care obviously, as I said earlier, is built off the data we got in the UK, but we sent a poster through to SAWC, which we talked about in a small release a few days ago, about the US data presented, the 10-patient case series, and that's showing excellent results on very old, big wounds. And that's part of our rationale at TR. We have to do things other people can't. So part of DermaPure, and one of the things we wanted to show with DermaPure in the US, is it can tackle real-life chronic wounds, not in artificial situations like clinical trials represent, but real-world wounds. And we've been able to show that very convincingly with that 10-patient case series. Commercially, as I say, we've deployed direct sales force that began at the back end of 2014, and we're now in the process of deploying additional salespeople as a result of the fundraising we did earlier in the year. So it's very much a story of commercial progress as well as clinical progress. And I think right now what we're establishing in the US is we're becoming a serious player in that market, and that's very important. Credibility is all in this marketplace. You're built on your reputation and people talking about the results and the details that you attend to. On the ortho side, the clinical trials are proceeding to plan. The centres are now recruiting for the meniscus trial, and obviously once the tendon trial is up and running, we'll be reporting on how that's going as well. So from our point of view, we're very satisfied with progress in terms of the individual product portfolios. Heart valve, which is obviously a much slower burn opportunity, we've had some very good data presented last week at the meeting in Monaco by Professor Da Costa, which shows aortic valves, a very difficult valve to manage in young people, performing extremely well. And these are all encouraging things on the clinical, commercial front that really validate TR and the D-Cell platform.
What can you tell us about the financial performance?
Well, our losses are in line with expectations. I don't like surprises any more than my finance director does. So from our point of view, we're very keen to keep the market informed of what we're doing and how we're spending money, and they're absolutely bang on where we said they would be. And this reflects increased commercial deployment in the US, which is what we said we're going to do, and the ongoing moving into clinical trials, which are probably the single biggest ticket item that we do as a company in the ortho space, and obviously in wound care and the RCT in the States. So From our perspective, we spent the money where we said we're going to spend it, and we raised an additional 19 million just at the beginning of 2015, which basically means that we've got a very, very comfortable runway looking forward. So I'm very happy with our financial performance and where we are today.
And what's your outlook for the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, quite clearly, we want to build on the momentum that we've got with DermaPure. We will see more AB Max coming on stream, hopefully, as they begin to review the progress of the product and its clinical applications. DermaPure has a number of different line extensions. DermaPure can be used in additional wounds like burns, potentially in dental, and even in things like rotator cuff repair, shoulder cuff repair, which is another sports medicine application. So we're looking at all those things now and deciding what's the best routes to market. So DermaPure, although we've always talked about it in terms of chronic wounds, becomes a much bigger product category in its own right as you begin to look at all the other things you can do with it. So that's going to be a consistent theme: commercial progress with the AB Max and signing probably additional commercial agreements, deployment of our direct sales force, utilising our hybrid model that we talked about. So really it's very much about consolidating on the foundations we've built and moving forward on those. So our intention is really to just steady as she goes, keep building, and build a real valuable wound care franchise around DermaPure, and look at the line extensions and how we're going to deal with those. On the ortho side, it's very much about recruitment into the clinical trials. The milestones will be completion of recruitment into the trials, and then submission in 2016 for the CE marking. So those are the two key things really looking forward on the ortho and the wound care side.
And finally, Tissue Regenix has relocated its headquarters to Leeds in the UK. What else can you tell us about the way the business is evolving?
Well, I think we're at a very exciting phase. I mean, we're still recruiting quite heavily, but very much into the commercial and manufacturing sides of the business. We're aiming to launch a number of products in the next few years, and we have to expand our manufacturing operations, which was the primary reason for the move to Leeds, but also expand our commercial depth, reach, and frequency in the United States. So TR's changing as a company quite substantially. We're now becoming a sales and marketing operation, we're a manufacturing operation, and we're about turning our great core technology D-Cell into products and selling them to people to help with these clinical conditions that we know people need help with. So I'm very excited that we're going to look like a very professional medtech company, very heavily invested in biological solutions, regenerative medicine, the medicine of the future, which is one of the things that's really going to help drive this company forward over the years. And the fact is we're addressing huge unmet needs, an aging population, the fact people live longer but want the lifestyles that they had when they were younger. So we're very much a now company in the sense that we're addressing immediate needs with new technology.
Antony Odell, thank you very much.